Michael Smith. Michael Smith.
Nice.
Sheena Roll. Sheena Roll.
Nice.
Keisha Stubbs. Keisha Stubbs.
Nice.
Stephen Lowe. Stephen Lowe.
Oh, ho, ho, naughty.
Get on the nice list this Christmas. Rejoice with Rare Voice when you sign up and enter to win 12 days of giveaways, including a 2015 Jeep Wrangler.
Dr. Myles Munroe and Pastor Ruth Munroe laid to rest after an emotional homegoing ceremony. A man murdered in the course of an armed robbery. The Immigration Department's controversial raids to move to Abaco. And the victim of this week's Clifton Pier plane crash identified. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Thanks for joining us. Hundreds gathered at Bahamas Faith Ministries International today to celebrate the lives of Dr. Myles Munroe and his wife, Ruth Ann. The couple was laid to rest following a homegoing service packed with family and friends from around the globe. Jasmine Brown has more in this report.
A crowd gathered outside the Diplomat Center today as mourners said goodbye to the Munroes. Those mourners were dressed in bright colors, a wish expressed by Dr. Munroe in one of his last sermons. This morning's funeral came a month after their shocking deaths. Dr. Munroe, his wife Ruth Ann, and BFM Vice President Dr. Richard Pinder were among 9 people who died after authorities say their plane crashed as it was making its descent into Grand Bahama. The trio died along with youth pastors Lavard and Riddell Parks, their son Johannan, American public speaker Diego de Santiago, and pilots Stanley Thurston and Farkan Cooper. With their coffins draped in the Bahamian flag, the couple, who was inseparable in life, was escorted side by side into the church they once led. While at times tears flowed, the mood was upbeat in the service that was filled with Dr. Munroe's favorite praise and worship songs. One of the songs was performed by award-winning American gospel artist CeCe Winans.
And when I'm gone, life still carries on. So don't cry for me. We'll always be. Don't cry for me.
The words of Dr. Munroe were also played for all to hear as he elaborated on the power of life and death.
The place that has the greatest wealth in the world, the place that has the greatest wealth in the world is not the diamond mines of South Africa. It's not the oil wells of Iran. It's not the gold streaks in Northern Africa. The wealthiest place on this planet is the cemetery. For in the cemeteries are buried the greatest dreams that never came to be, ideas that never flourished, music that was never played or sung, people who died with their vision that no one ever saw. The graveyard is rich with people just like you who had great treasure but never gave it to anybody. My greatest fear today is that you will add to the wealth of the graveyard. I pray that you will die empty.
Speaking publicly for the first time about her parents' death was their daughter Charissa Munroe. In an address that received a standing ovation by the entire room, Charissa said while losing their parents was unbelievable, their legacy lives on through her and her brother Charo.
We have lost one of the greatest fathers and mothers and king and queen to have ever lived. Yet it is only by faith that I can stand here before you today and declare with much authority that Dr. Myles Munroe and Pastor Ruth Ann Munroe are not dead, but they are very much alive in my brother and myself and in you. My parents were born into a life of purpose, and they lived a life of purpose, dedicated to one vision and one mission: to serve the people of this world, transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change, starting with their own children. This is why death had absolutely no victory.
While they were loved and appreciated by their family, the Munroes' impact was also felt internationally, with the couple's work being recognized by even world leaders. That included U.S. President Barack Obama, who in a written tribute said leaders like Dr. Munroe and his wife Ruth Ann teach people that they are their brother and sister's keeper. The country's leader, Prime Minister Perry Christie, said while Dr. Munroe was internationally known, he never neglected his country.
Religion for Myles Munroe was not about locking oneself up in some remote ivory tower of private contemplation. Rather, it was about rolling up your sleeves and getting down into the trenches to deal with the real problems of real people living in the real world.
The Munroes' colleagues in the religious community also gave tributes to the couple.
In thinking about their lives, I came up with a description that I believe describes them. The term that I felt best described Dr. Myles Munroe is transformer. Through his relationship with God and through his pursuit of purpose, no one he encountered left his presence without being transformed.
Myles, it seems, was born to establish and expand the kingdom of God and to help people find their kingdom purpose. And as we've heard today, to transform followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change.
But his influence around the world is well known and well spoken of today. But it took a long time for him to influence, to have a great impact upon the city of Nassau.
Your teachings will always be the food for my soul and the calm voice to my mind. You taught and showed me to respect and honor my husband, be his cheerleader, raise my hands in covering him, kneel down in prayer for him, and always meet his need. Mama, there's a lot of things I have learned and done with you, and I cherish them all. I cherish them all. I thank God for our King. I thank God, our King of Kings, who made our paths to meet and became an integral part of each other's lives. You taught us and we learned, and now you are resting at the bosom of our Lord, the Creator, with Papa by your side.
Today's funeral was the final in a series held for the crash victims. The couple was buried at Lakeview Memorial Gardens and Mausoleums on John F. Kennedy Drive. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Police investigating yet another murder in the capital, this one the result of an armed robbery. According to police, before setting the scene for this crime, suspects successfully carried out another armed robbery in the area just moments before. Kyle Joaquin reports.
What started out as an armed robbery quickly turned into the scene of another murder here in New Providence. According to police, it was around 2:45 this morning that two men were driving along the east-west highway when they came upon a collection of rocks that blocked the road near the traffic light next to Abundant Life Road. In seeing this, the men then got out of their vehicle and attempted to move the rocks. That's when two masked gunmen in black jackets ran out, shooting.
They attempted to run away and were struck, and both of them were transported to hospital, and one of the young men later succumbed. He was pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital. The second victim is listed in critical condition right now.
Now, when they arrived on the scene, police actually had no idea they were dealing with 2 shooting victims until they realized there was another man suffering from multiple gunshot wounds across the street. Now, police believe the men behind this murder are the same ones that committed an armed robbery just around the corner at a home in Montel Heights.
At that hour of the morning, usually at that traffic light, people tend to drive straight through. Obviously, the persons that are doing this live within that community. There was an armed robbery reported, I think, just moments earlier in the Montel Heights area, and we believe that the same 2 individuals or so who perpetrated that and then went out with the intent to rob somebody else.
As the Christmas shopping season gears up, Roll said people should be mindful of their surroundings and keep an eye out for any suspicious activity. He added particularly stopping to remove objects from the road in the late night hours shouldn't be something any person is doing. The CDU chief says although police are increasing their presence on the streets for the holiday season, there are still those taking advantage of what he called weak spots.
When they stopped, persons in some instances were robbed, others again continue to drive. What I would say to people is that if you're driving along the street 2:33 a.m. in the morning and you come to a traffic light and you see some stones in the road, there are no wakers around, do not stop and get out of your car to try and move any stones. I believe if not everybody, the majority of us now have cell phones, and cell phones are very cheap. Dial 911 or 919 and inform the police of what you observe and try to get around the obstruction.
This latest killing brings the country's murder count to 112. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Meanwhile, police have taken 2 more men into custody for the murder of 53-year-old Andrea Carroll. Carroll was found dead in her Deadman's Key, Long Island home last Saturday, tied up with a single bruise to her forehead just above her right eye. That day, police arrested a man she knew who was still in custody. And now, according to Chief Superintendent Paul Roll, police have taken 2 more Long Island men into custody.
He's still in custody, but we took some other persons into custody. The police, we're following some significant leads with that, and took 2 additional individuals in custody on yesterday. Okay, and we're trying to get the autopsy completed sometime today.
Amid controversy over government's new immigration policy, Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell said dozens of people were picked up in New Providence this week and hinted at major operations in Abaco in January. Mitchell also defended a decision not to meet with Florida State Representative Daphne Campbell, insisting until she withdraws boycott comments, she can go fly a kite. Vonnie Toot reports.
More than a month after the Immigration Department started sweeping raids throughout New Providence, signaling the start of government's new immigration policy, Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell says those exercises continue, with nearly 70 suspected illegal migrants being picked up on Tuesday. He told NB12 they're also preparing for major operations in Abaco, Eleuthera, and Exuma.
I'm coming to Abaco in January, so everybody knows to act accordingly. Whatever the law is, comply with the law, please. That's all I say.
Mitchell says officials have received substantial complaints about the illegal migration problem in Abaco, which is home to shanty towns like Pigeon P and the Mud. Meantime, Mitchell says those exercises continue here in New Providence.
65 people were arrested yesterday. We announced during the budget debate in the summertime, change was coming, passport requirement, national identity card, said all of those things. No one did anything, kept repeating it. 1st of November comes along, suddenly everybody's surprised.
Officials said in a statement today an immigration officer was injured and required stitches on his nose and near his eye after he tried to apprehend a suspected illegal migrant who threw barbed wire at him during a routine interdiction on Wednesday. The new policy took effect on November 1st and requires all non-Bahamians to have passports of their nationalities as well as evidence that they have permission to live and work in the country. Mitchell has said government will not flinch on immigration, despite criticisms from international organizations, including the Organization of American States, Amnesty International, and the Robert F. Kennedy Center for Justice and Human Rights.
This policy continues to be of interest to both Bahamians and those overseas. I can't figure out why, except the nearest I can come to it is you have a set of activists in this country who keep repeating a lot of falsehoods. The truth makes no difference to them.
Florida State Representative Daphne Campbell, who urged tourists and businesses to boycott the Bahamas over the policy, said she had expected to attend a meeting at the Bahamas Consulate office in Miami, but was told that won't happen until she publicly withdraws her statements.
If you want a meeting, the first thing you have to do is withdraw the boycott threat, and secondly, apologize for the defamatory comments you made about the Bahamas. When you have done that, happy to meet with you. Until then, go fly a kite.
Despite government's efforts to tackle the illegal immigration problem, Mitchell admits it will take a long time before we see a culture change as a result of the immigration policy. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonik Toot.
The dispute between the Bahamas Customs, Immigration and Allied Workers Union and the government over the signing of an industrial agreement before the union's members could receive lump sum payments has ended. Union executives previously refused to sign the agreement because they said it was unnecessary. They should sign for natural rights. Well, today, union members had a change of heart and signed an agreement which gives allowances for transportation, geographical posting, and other needs. Minister of Labor Shane Gibson said the government could not afford to pay the workers what is entirely owed to them. However, it gave them what it could. Although he did not reveal the amount the workers received, he did say the first set of payments would be distributed on the Christmas payday. Check out the Nassau Guardian for more on that story, and we'll have further details tomorrow. You're watching the best of Bahamian news. There's more when NB12 returns.